That's it. Okay, test 1, 2. Everybody got sound? All right, hi everybody. My name is Dudley Brown. I'm the president of the National Association for Gun Rights. Here with me is Chris McNutt, executive director of Texas Gun Rights, and next to him is Jesse Bonnen, who's a Virginia attorney and someone we've asked to come out here to review the situation and provide counsel for us. He and a number of other attorneys are advising us on this situation. And we're here for one simple reason, and that is Speaker of the House Dennis Bonnen and his scurrilous lies about this gentleman and the activity of Texas Gun Rights and the National Association for Gun Rights and other activists. He has lied about this because he's wanted to stop concealed carry and hide his activities of killing a bill that he knows his constituents want to pass. Now, I'm going to go over some of those lies very specifically. And the first one that he's using is that Mr. McNutt threatened the Speaker's family while canvassing the Speaker's neighborhood, when in fact, Mr. McNutt didn't see any of the Speaker's family, did not have any contact, did not speak to any of the family members. Now, recently released Department of Public Safety body cam footage and statements from the Department of Public Safety confirm this account and Mr. McNutt's account, and the video itself has now been released. It's on YouTube, it's on a number of sources, and we even have it here today. Now, we filed an open records request with the state to get that information, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Now, according to the written report of the encounter, DPS Trooper James Johnson stated, McNutt did not make any threatening statements toward Representative Bonnen's people. I did not observe McNutt wearing any type of firearm. After a brief conversation, McNutt drove out of the neighborhood without incident. In other words, nothing happened. Totally manufactured by the Speaker of the House. Lie number 2, that Chris McNutt brandished a firearm in the presence of legislative staff, when in fact, Mr. McNutt was unarmed. In fact, he had traveled via aircraft, commercial airline, and so there are records. In other words, that didn't happen. He created it out of thin air. And even those people who were around confirm Mr. McNutt was not carrying a firearm and did not brandish, as we know from the body cam footage. Okay? Number 3, that Mr. McNutt set up a confrontation at a recent Texas Republican Party fundraiser. Now, according to Darlene Pendery, a top donor to the Republican Party of Texas, and one of many witnesses to that encounter, Speaker Bonnen was the instigator, and his abrasive conduct toward McNutt made the event a, quote, horrible evening. In fact, I'll quote her directly. The smear and intimidation tactics used by Speaker Dennis Bonnen are alarmingly similar to the unethical, cutthroat methods we saw used by the left to vilify Brett Kavanaugh during the torturous circus of hearings in Washington, D.C. Now, that was from a donor to the Texas Republican Party who has released a statement and is very mad at the way the party handled things. I'll let her speak for herself at some point. Now, what we're seeing here is that Texas House Speaker Dennis Bonnen didn't want to pass a bill. He was receiving pressure from his constituents and activists around the state to get a hearing on this bill. And so instead of granting the hearing or explaining himself, he went out and made up lies. 3 very specific lies. There may be more, we don't know. I'd like to ask Jesse Bonnen here to read a few statements and make a few comments about this as well. If you want to get closer to the mic, might be helpful.
Yes. My name is Jesse Bonnen. I am an attorney for the National Association of Gun Rights. I'm here to demonstrate the gravity of these issues. And in fact, we are currently investigating whether Bonnen's intimidation tactics involved the misappropriation of state resources. If the Speaker of the Texas House, the third most powerful politician in the state, intentionally abused public resources to perpetuate falsehoods against a political opponent, that would be an affront to the free speech rights of all Texans and its conduct unbecoming of a legislator. We're looking into all options available to hold Speaker Bonnen accountable for his actions. At the very least, he should apologize.
So you get an idea of what we're talking about, and the final message before we take questions is really simple. This is to House Speaker Bonnen. We're not going away. We're not stopping. In fact, we're looking at canvassing more districts, and we're going to hold you accountable for what you've done here, both legally and politically. Now, I'd like to take some questions here if anybody would like to ask. Judging by the body cam footage and the situation itself, he was ready to create that. So, certainly makes sense. We're not done with our research on that. Yes, sir.
Did Mr. McNutt actually go to the Speaker's house? Was he ever on the property?
No, I wasn't. I actually, when I was in the Speaker's neighborhood canvassing several houses, I saw DPS troopers parked out in front of his house, so I actually approached them directly. I wasn't intercepted, detained, arrested, or anything. I approached them and just told them what I was doing, and they actually offered to place the flyer that I had on the Speaker's door for me. So I never even stepped foot on the Speaker's property.
As a follow-up,
sure.
Previous to that encounter, were you at any other state lawmaker's home?
Yeah, I did the same exact thing, canvassing multiple neighborhoods in 2 other legislative districts.
But did you go to any state lawmaker's home?
I'm sure that I placed a flyer on their doors, but I had a list of multiple people that I was canvassing to turn up the pressure on the Speaker of the House.
You can see from the body cam footage when you see it, you'll see that he didn't even get close to the house, really. He was out in the street. But you'll also see how he conducted himself. So there's no question about who was in the right here. He was respectful. He talked to the officers respectfully. And I don't think that any of them would have anything to say except he was polite. He wasn't dressed in camouflage and face paint, as the impression we get from the Speaker of the House is that somehow he was there to threaten people. That's not the case. Some in politics might understand that you actually have to walk door to door and canvass and deliver information to voters and to get some action to happen here in Austin. And that's what he's doing. In fact, that's what we're planning again. So we don't care if a legislator's home. We don't care if they're here in Austin. In fact, sometimes we like it when they're here in Austin. We get to talk to their voters. And then they get the pressure directly from their voters. So there's never been a threat made by our staff, by any of our activists. We've never done that, never will do that. No physical threats of violence. All we're doing is talking to voters and telling them how the Speaker or how members of the legislature are voting.
Mr. McNutt, were you armed when you approached Speaker Bonnen's
No,
house?
I was unarmed the entire time.
What do you think this does in terms of affecting the future prospects of constitutional carry in Texas?
I mean, we're going to continue on with our programs like we always do. We're going to make sure that the constituents of Speaker Bonnen and those involved are held accountable for their actions moving forward through our issue advocacy in the primaries and moving into the next legislative session.
Understand that Speaker Bonnen was trying to kill this bill all along. That's where the lie came, that he was using this as an excuse that the bill is dead. No, the Speaker wanted to kill it, and this was the excuse. And that's what he did here, and created it and made it up. Yes, AJ.
I understand this is the #1 priority of the Republican Party of Texas. Is there anything y'all would like to say to the legislators that maybe see in this?
Maybe they voted for the wrong Speaker of the House. Yeah.
How has the Senate received this bill? Have you talked with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick at all about
I have not, but I do know that not a single senator has filed a companion legislation for this bill this session.
Why is that? And have you been talking to them about it?
I have not. They can only speak for their own actions.
Have you been canvassing in their districts as well?
I actually spoke with the wife of State Senator Charles Perry when I was in the district of Representative Burrows. She opened the door as I was coming up to leave a flyer on her door. I didn't know that that's who lived there. But she actually opened up the door and greeted me to keep me from ringing her doorbell. Had a very pleasant conversation with her, handed the flyer, and she said, "Thank you, we support constitutional carry." And then, I went about my day.
The other issue was the fundraiser and what happened there. How did you end up at a table with a chair directly behind the speaker's chair at a different table?
So I was actually invited by Miss Darlene Pendery, who Dudley mentioned is a very generous donor to the Republican Party of Texas. She invited me, I believe it's March 19th or 20th. I've got proof of that, which was before I even canvassed any neighborhoods. And she just said that she would love to have me as her guest. She was going to have Freedom Caucus members there as well as the speaker at the time. So from the beginning, I planned on delivering a very professional letter, actually from the president of our national organization, to personally hand deliver that letter to the speaker, and that's pretty much what I ended up doing. I just stayed the course. I believe the speaker wanted to intimidate me, make sure that I didn't come out in public and see light of day. But I'm not going to back down. I'm going to continue to fight and defend my name.
Did you ask to be in a chair directly next to him?
I did not.
It might be noted that the speaker, after initiating a confrontation with Mr. McNutt, scurried out of the room. So multiple reports of that. He left, even though he was supposed to speak. He was probably embarrassed by his actions.
Bottom line,
Should be.
Getting back to what you want. What do you want from the speaker?
We want to vote in the committee and on the House floor on constitutional carry. Texas should be embarrassed of itself. 15 other states have passed it, and Texas is way behind, even though it has that reputation of being this pro-gun state. And we passed it in other states, and Texas is lagging behind. We just want the vote. Let's see how politicians vote on this bill.
In regards to the confrontation, what do you want?
We want an apology and a retraction from the speaker. The speaker needs to come out and say, no, that's not what happened, and correct his lies and retract those statements.
If that doesn't happen, then what?
Well, he can give us a vote if he'd like to. So, we'll see. We're looking at all options, and that's why we retain legal counsel. We're looking at everything that's happened. This is not done. Let's put it that way.
Mr. McNutt, pretext or not, it's been said that your actions are responsible for the bill being killed. Could you respond to that?
It's absolutely false. The speaker intended to kill this bill the moment that he appointed a anti-gun Democrat to chair the committee that he assigned the bill to.
Yeah, that was the telltale sign right away, was putting a Democrat in charge of the committee that deals on firearms issues. Imagine what's going to happen. So.
And again, one more time, in the neighborhood, at the speaker's house, did you seek out to go to his house, or were you just working the neighborhood?
I mean, I was working donors in his neighborhood, and I was going to leave a flyer at his door, but I saw DPS there, and I approached them, and they did it for me because they understood that everything I was doing was fine, not intimidating. It was just exercising First Amendment rights to promote a bill and hold politicians accountable.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thank you all. Happy to do any individual questions you need afterward here. All right, thank you. All right, kill ours.